You ever been in a grocery store staring at two different brands of coffee and you go for the cheaper one? Or maybe it's that Sunday night feeling, when you realize you were completely out of time to finish a big project. Well, that feeling, that pressure, that's scarcity. And it's not just about what's in your bank account or on your calendar. It's this invisible force that is literally shaping our entire world, from the tiny choices we make every day to global economics. So let's dig in.
And this quote from economist Thomas Sowell, man, it really gets to the heart of it. This is basically the cornerstone of all modern economics. It sets up this fundamental problem, right? A universal condition that applies to every single one of us. The idea is simple. Our desires are basically infinite, but our world, well, it's not. So here's the official textbook definition. Scarcity isn't just about not having enough money. No, it's about the hard limits on everything we could possibly value. Our time, our energy, natural resources, even our attention spans. You can think of it as the ultimate constraint. It's the one rule that forces all of us, as individuals and as entire societies, to get organized and, frankly, to get creative.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to take this one simple idea, scarcity, and really pull it apart. We'll kick things off with why it's pretty much the first rule of economics. Then we'll dive into the two very different types of scarcity. From there, we'll get personal and look at how it literally changes the way our brains work. And then we'll tackle the big debate. Is scarcity a bug, or is it a feature of the human condition? And finally, we're going to ask the biggest question of all. Could technology actually make scarcity a thing of the past?
All right, first up, why are economists so completely obsessed with this one idea? Well, it's because scarcity isn't just some abstract concept. It's the engine that drives all economic activity. You could say it's the entire reason economics even exists as a field of study in the first place. See, because we can't have everything we want, we are constantly forced to choose. And every single choice we make means giving something else up. That's what economists call an opportunity cost. It's the value of the road not taken. And this fundamental reality forces every single society on Earth to answer three basic questions. What are we going to make? How are we going to make it? And who gets all the cool stuff we made? Okay, now here is where things start to get really interesting. It turns out scarcity isn't just one single thing. There are actually two very different ways to think about the problem. And honestly, the difference between them is crucial.
So on one hand, you've got absolute scarcity. This is about the big physical limits. Is there literally enough fresh water on the planet for everyone? Enough oil in the ground? It's really an ecological question. But then on the other hand, you have relative scarcity. And this is what economists are usually obsessed with. This isn't about whether the resource exists, it's about figuring out the best way to use it. It's a problem of choosing between all the different things we want.
And this visual really makes that difference pop. Absolute scarcity, over on the left, is super simple. Imagine you need 1 cup of water to survive. Do you have one? It's a yes or no question. But relative scarcity, on the right, well, that's way more complex. Let's say you have $20. You could buy a fancy coffee, or you could buy lunch, or you could save it for a movie ticket. One resource, multiple competing desires. That choice, right there, that's the heart of the economic problem.
So let's pivot now from the big, abstract world of economics to something way more personal. How that feeling of scarcity actually affects our own brains. This isn't about global resources anymore. This is about what happens inside your head when you feel like you just don't have enough time, or money, or even friends.
A couple of researchers, Sendil Molainathan and Eldar Shafir, discovered that the feeling of scarcity is so incredibly powerful that it literally changes how we think. It just completely captures our attention and, well, not always for the better.
And what's wild are the specific effects they found. First, scarcity makes us tunnel. You get tunnel vision. You focus only on the urgent problem right in front of your face, like that one bill that's due tomorrow, and you ignore everything else. It also hits us with a bandwidth tax. It's like your mental battery just starts draining, which makes it harder to think clearly and make good long-term decisions. And finally, it forces us into this constant state of juggling, just trying to patch one leak before another one springs up.
Now, to be fair, this intense focus isn't all bad. A looming deadline, a scarcity of time, can make us incredibly productive, right? The researchers call this a focus dividend. But the really important question is, what's the trade-off? What is the cost of that focus? What are all the important things we're ignoring just outside that tunnel?
And this all leads us to maybe the biggest debate of all. Is scarcity a fundamental flaw in the human condition, a bug that we need to try and fix, or is it a necessary feature? The very thing that sparks all of our innovation, our progress, and maybe even our sense of meaning.
And you can really break it down into these two camps. Think of it this way. The Malthusian view is kind of like seeing a car's gas tank that's slowly emptying, and you know it's going to lead to an inevitable breakdown. It's a hard limit. The Robbins/Simon view, on the other hand, sees that low fuel light as a signal, a reason to go invent a more efficient engine or find a whole new source of energy. For them, it's not a limit, it's a catalyst.
So for centuries, we have built our entire world on this one core assumption of scarcity. But what if that assumption is starting to crack? What if technology is on the verge of challenging this foundational idea in a way we have never, ever seen before?
I mean, that is a radical statement. Just let that sink in for a second. It's suggesting that the entire basis of our economic thinking for thousands of years might be dissolving. The idea is we could be on the verge of an infinity economy, where our biggest problem isn't managing scarcity anymore, but figuring out how to live with abundance. So what could actually get us there? Well, think about it. Digital information, music, software, this very presentation. It can be copied infinitely for almost zero cost. We're already seeing AI generate new ideas and solve complex problems all on its own. Imagine autonomous factories just 3D printing whatever we need, on demand. And what if we had breakthroughs in energy that removed one of the most fundamental limits our species has ever faced? And this brings us to our final and maybe most mind-bending thought. For all of human history, our problem has been survival, right? The struggle for resources. If technology actually solves that economic problem for good, what's next? What becomes our new purpose in a world where we might not have to work to live, and where we can have almost anything we want? It seems like overcoming scarcity might just be the beginning of a much deeper, much more human question.